Hello, hello, hello. Happy Testosterone Tuesday. How's everyone doing today? This is a topic that I stumbled upon because I want to try to discuss a topic every day that relates to our brand. And you guys know we have it all broken down into the days of the week, and Tuesday is Testosterone Tuesday. So I was like, what? Oh, and I got this idea from a new friend. I hope that she comes by tonight. A new friend that I actually met, trying to get my car towed. We could talk about that later. But in the news today, I ran across an article that was discussing. I'll bring the article on the screen. What DGCA's new medical guidelines prescribe for transgender persons. So basically, there's a transgender male who is a pilot, and he was informed that while he is actively going through his transitional hormonal therapy cycle, he was grounded. I guess he was not really allowed to fly. And I guess they loosened up the guidelines, and they went ahead and they were like, you know what? You don't even have to wait until the end of your therapy. And I guess before this article, it was to the point that even if you had any kind of a hormonal therapy, you just could not fly. So I guess this was probably brought up amongst quite a few pilots because they were probably like, okay, where did we get this one from? And what physiological evidence is this based on? So I found this to be a definitely interesting topic. So I'm going to pause for a second. I hate it when people come on and be like, I'm going to wait for someone to get in. I don't, I'm here for whoever sees the replay, and if someone is here right when I hit the floor. So I like to just go ahead and start giving you guys content. But my name is Tess Washington, MD, board certified physician and surgeon. I have a master's in physiology and biophysics. So that is what makes me very comfortable to discuss physiology and the mechanism of actions and the role that it plays in medicine. I also have advanced training in age management medicine, hormone replacement therapy, aesthetic medicine, yada yada. So it's all down in the description box. Now, when we have these segments, we're never going to like speak in regards to giving medical advice or speak in regards to anyone in particular, but we will just discuss current things that are going on in medicine, and I will answer questions in a general format. And a lot of these things that are going on in medicine affect us much closer than we realize, but a lot of people really don't go to the doctor nowadays, so we're really not in touch with really just how fragile we really are as physiological beings. So back to the story that we are discussing. So basically, it looks like there was a landmark move with the Directorate. That's what DGCA stands for, Directorate General of Civil Aviation, where they released the new medical guidelines to help transgender persons who have completed their gender transition therapy or surgery to fly private and commercial aircraft. So I want to pause right there. That's very interesting. I actually was over in TikTok, and I stated if there was anyone who could relate to this, if they wanted to come over and chime in. From what I understand and from what I know, there is really never a point where the hormone therapy is complete. I mean, it's not like, it's not like you put hormones somewhere and you're like, okay, hormones, you stay right there. You stay at the same level. You never go down and you never go up. So not unless they're talking about, this is, the way that this sentence is phrased, there's really no completion point. And, there's a lot that we need to, what is that saying, that a lot to unpack here? Is that what I want to say? And then we'll talk about this, surgery. Now, like, let's say, are we talking about where they had their male genitalia removed? Are we talking about where they had breast augmentation? What surgery are we talking about? Are we talking about aesthetic surgery, because in order for a man to have hips and a lot of softness, a lot of curvature of women, which they're attempting to, basically that's what they are. They're transitioning to what they feel within themselves. That's not something that hits a stop point. So I really felt like that was kind of a weird paragraph. Moving on to the next paragraph, the move is being seen as positive. I agree. Development for transgender community. And I'll pause right there. I don't know. Obviously this is not in the United States, but I agree. But I don't know. I would feel so. I would feel a little bit uncomfortable, not so happy, if someone was like, well, if you were this sex and not transitioning to another, you'd be fine. We'd be okay with you flying, but we're gonna treat. I mean, that's kind of discriminatory. I don't know. That was I don't know. Poor guy. But I'm glad that everything is working out for Adam Harry. And I don't know Adam. I'm not his doctor. I don't even know, where he is. So we're not crossing any boundaries here as far as hip or anything like that. So, and he's a very bright man, 23 years old. He's a pilot already. You go, Adam. Look at you. Okay. So, all right. So Adam is a young, spunky pilot with a long career ahead of him. And basically, so he was declared unfit to fly DGCA in 2019 on the grounds of life. Look at this, guys. Okay, I got to get my a little highlighter. So we say right here in the first paragraph, which I was questioning, have completed the gender transition therapy, and then we go down to paragraph number 2, and we saying lifelong. Now, poor anime number 23. So anyway, because let's talk about a lot of hormone fluctuation that Adam is going to go through just as he ages as a male. Anywho, so that the second paragraph pretty much confirms what I was discussing in the first. That therapy is going to go on for an extended period of time. In earlier statements issued in July 13th, DGCA had said an ongoing therapy wouldn't be grounds for disqualification, either if they have reached a stable dose. Okay, that makes sense. Because when they first start with the hormonal therapy, you're going from just like the bottom. So what they're saying is once the medication gets to a therapeutic level. Now, I have some other articles pulled up that I will show you how really this claim is substantiated, but I have a thought on that. There are quite a few medications that will cause some of the physiological changes that obviously this aviation board was worried about that don't have anything to do with hormones. But I'll show you guys those papers momentarily. So this clause found no mention in August 10th guidelines. So we're going to take a quick look at the matter, who is Adam, and then they went in to discuss the pilot a little bit further. Adam is a private pilot licensed in South Africa, and he applied to convert it under. So he looks like he had been flying for a while, just doing his thing, being just an independent solo pilot guy. And then he wanted to go ahead and he wanted to, I guess, maybe go to a situation that gave him more of an opportunity of advancement or climbing up the ladder of success. And he ran into this little roadblock. But it looks like he's gotten past it. That's the good thing. So the regulations to be eligible to fly in India as a man. However, group captain, I cannot say, YS, I'm not even going to try, YSD, respecting him, I can't pronounce his name, who is the director of medical services in the DGCA, responded July 27, 2020, with mail confirming that Harry's fitness to fly would not be assessed as long as he was on therapy, and requested him to review only after he was okay. So listen, this paragraph takes us back up to paragraph number 1. So now it looks like this director of aviation in 2020. So it looks like this whole thing started around 2019. What were we, 2020, 2022? So 19, 20, 21, 22. So it's been going on for 3 years. I don't know if the gentleman has been flying. Well, he probably was flying as a private pilot, and while this was all going on, to maintain his skills and his aviation hours. And this is just, I guess, being brought up because we have finally come to a resolution in Adam's favor, fortunately. But it looks like the person who was over everything was like, we ain't even gonna assess him as long as he's on medication. I don't look. Next question. I don't even want to talk about Adam. He didn't even want to assess him while he was on medication. And going back to what we discussed previously, he's 23. He's got to be on medicine for quite a while. So that's, I'm quite sure that's something they will deal with as time progresses. Ministry intervention and DGCA response. After the matter was widely reported in the media, the Union Ministry of Social Justice wrote a letter to the DGCA on July 11th calling its policy discriminatory. Yay, finally someone comes in the room. And a violation of the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act in 2019. The letter also demanded new guidelines for granting licenses. Hear ye. So that worked out pretty good. That's a happily ever after. And and if you guys want to read this article a little bit further, you can. But yeah, so that was just basically, it looks like everything worked out. And someone came along and was like, wait a minute, why are we even having this conversation? And I agree with them. Now, as I stated earlier, I was like, well, I wonder how prominent is this? Is this something that, like lawyers, they will base their precedents off of a case that was won, and that's how they can justify their client when they're trying to get there. So I was like, well, are they basing this on something that happened previously? So I did a little lit search. And I'll just share with you guys some of the articles, and I'll just mention very briefly some of the things I saw in the articles from a physiological perspective, where I can see what they were saying, but I still don't see it to be fair, because these are things that if you're going to ground a gentleman who's going through transgender therapy because of hormone medication that is causing these physiological symptoms, you'll be grounding a lot of people. You'll be grounding people who are on metoprolol, or people who are on, medications have adverse effects. Basically, you'd be saying that no one who's taking medication can fly a plane. So let's go through some of these. The effects of nighttime aircraft noise exposure on the endothelial function and stress hormones released in healthy adults. I thought that this was so interesting because if you think about it, so, I guess the pilots, when they're in the cockpit, they have headphones on, right? But I guess that they're saying that, if you're dealing with you're going through the circadian rhythm, you guys are with me, right? And you are flying at night, and you have to fly for extended hours, especially if you're flying like let's say you go in the United States to India, it's 17 hours. And you're flying like that, and that could definitely cause a fluctuation of your circadian rhythm. I get it with that. So what is it that what kind of a hormonal or change do we have with the change in the circadian rhythm? Well, we have an increase of cortisol. And so so they're saying that if he was also taking, the mostly estrogen, right? And some testosterone, and progesterone, and some other hormones. So they're worried about the fluctuation and the ability for them to focus and fly the plane safely. Now I'm going to wrap this up and bring home a very strong point in one moment. Then they talked about the cardiovascular effects during the night and healthy being, health issues related to air travel. So, there's always a chance of, they were discussing hormonal stress, that's one thing, but also what? Pneumothorax, right? Decompression, altitude changes. There's a lot. You have a lot of neurological problems when you go through fluctuation in altitude. So they brought that up, and like I said, I just did a search, and you see what I put in. I put in let me see. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. I'm sorry, guys. You don't see that. I just was like going to town. Hold on 1 minute. Let me show you. Which one is this paper? Okay, now you guys will be able to see. All right, now you'll be able to see what I see. Okay, so I was just discussing earlier the top article, the effects of nighttime aircraft noise exposure on endothelial function and stress and hormone release in healthy adults, and the health issues related to air travel, aircraft noise, and incidents of hypertension, gender specific, a review of the health effects of aircraft. These are just some of the articles that came up when I was just trying to see a precedent that was used to substantiate the decision to ground the pilot. These are just some of the articles that came up. And if you guys notice, you're seeing a constant trend of stress. So stress hormone changes and the person exposed to simulated noise, night noise, exposure, right? Yeah. So, but my thing is, how can we definitively say that the only people who will suffer from these symptoms are people who are taking hormone replacement therapy? There are plenty of medications that could cause a fluctuation of your hormones, especially when you are repetitively exposed to night and a change from day to night and a change in your altitude. So I don't know if I really thought that was super duper fair. So let me show you guys another one that I found. Let's see. That is just discussing. Let me see. Do I want to bring this one over? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here, I want to show you guys this one as well. No, not that one. Okay. Here we go. All right. So if you notice with this one, so motion sickness, and that's a really good thing that they bring up. So we are affected by motion in both our tummy and our brain. And I guess they were looking at the motion sickness that could be amplified because of hormone replacement therapy and a change in the altitude. I don't know. I really couldn't jive with them on that one. So I mean, I could always download the paper, and if you guys wanted to discuss that one, we could, because it's a clinical review. Let me see, it's 2011, so it's not necessarily super duper recent. But this one is a good one though. Spontaneous pneumothorax. Spontaneous pneumothorax is just a risk associated with flying, period. So I don't know if just because I put in that lit search, they were just bringing up all the things that were associated with aviation. But I don't know if by being on hormone therapy, you have an increased risk or a higher probability of experiencing a spontaneous pneumothorax. So I can definitely check into that and see if that's the case. I mean, spontaneous pneumo is exactly what it's called, spontaneous. So I can't say that wouldn't necessarily cause it, but so. And then just another article I'll show you guys really quick. Not an article, but just a lit search section. Just mainly gender dysphoria, a guide. So no, they were saying that this guide has come out in 2021. So it looks like Harry Adams may have started a movement because it looks like a whole lot of things were brought up, like, hey, why are we doing this? Do we have any guidelines? What are we basing this on? So good for you, Harry. A completed FDA gender dysphoria mental health status report. side effects of hormone therapy can be aromatically significant. I want to mention that as well. How can we say that the side effects of hormone therapy can be so significant? We have young, healthy women who are possibly having hormonal fluctuations secondary to pregnancy, or coming into puberty, or even perimenopausal or postmenopausal. Those are gross hormonal fluctuations, and that I know of, I don't think that they've had any restrictions. So when you read a paper, and if you guys notice, I got most of the articles as cited scholarly articles. When I discuss the medical topics with you guys, I want to try to go as deep into the literature as I possibly can to make it a little bit more relevant, and not just do some little Google search, because if you just do a basic Google search, you're only going to get what Mr. Google wants you to see. You may not even really get the truth. You definitely won't get a lot on the topic that you want to look up. You may want to use something like Google Scholar, or I do have a whole list of tools that I use when I want to do a deep dive lit search, and I want to make sure I bring up the most relevant information that I possibly can. So, gender dysphoria, we discussed that. So it looks like Adam Nair is in charge of a movement. And here you go, menopausal hormone therapy. And that's what I was wondering. So this was a good little thing for me to look up. Here you go. Long-term hormone therapy for perimenopause. And so what I'm saying is that, medicine is not law, law is not medicine. And law, they have to have a precedent. They have to have seen that case from the beginning, all the things that took place, and the end result. And it looks like in medicine, if this had been done, looks like this restriction never would have been enacted, because nowhere is it justified, at least from the initial search that I've seen. So let's just go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. So on this Testosterone Tuesday, we talked about transgender hormone therapy and some of the physiological changes that it will cause. Let me just give you guys a few more pearls as we leave with this information. The younger you are, the more physiological changes it will cause. The older you are, the more physiological changes it will cause. Because if you are taking hormone therapy while your body is already going through a hormonal fluctuation, that's going to be exponential. Also, if you are, some foods have a high amount of certain hormones. So if you're taking hormone therapy plus you're on a certain diet, that could also cause your hormone levels to be a lot more labile as well. So that's about it. Good for Harry, huh? Man, Harry is in charge of a movement. Well, thank you so much for stopping by TestMD TV. Tonight was Testosterone Tuesday, and tomorrow is Skin Day Wednesday. I'll find a current topic regarding skin, and I'll bring it up, and you guys can chime in, and you can ask your questions, and we can casually discuss it. As stated, I'm not giving any kind of medical advice. I am a board-certified physician. I do have a virtual practice. If you are looking for a provider, I'm licensed in Illinois, Indiana, Montana, New York, Nevada, and California. The sessions are 100% virtual, and I do have a list of services that I feel comfortable providing in a virtual setting. Feel free to click the link in the bio and the description, get in touch with me, follow me on all of my social media platforms, subscribe to the channel, and come on back and chat with me tomorrow night, and I will see you at our next live stream. Take care.